Ben and John here today to show you our new Milwaukee 8-inch metal cutting saws. We're going to start out with pre-cutting instructions. So one of the big things on that is just start with no power, not to be plugged in until you're ready to cut. So, all right, there's a few initial inspections you want to check just to make sure the saw is ready to cut. First one's going to be your lower blade guard. John will show you how it's spring loaded. And if it does not spring back, take it out of service, do not use it. There's a little black tab that pushes it back and forth. So, but if it does not spring back to protect the blade when you set it down, do not use the saw. The next thing to check is your chip container. That's this big container on the side here with the glass visible. John will pop that off. It holds a fair amount of the metal cutting chips. You want to be sure it's emptied before and after each use. While you have that off, it's always a good idea to take a look at your blade. Make sure you don't have any damage. All the teeth are good to go. We do have an Allen wrench that'll be in the case with each saw. If you need to tighten or remove and change a blade, there's a lock tab on the side of the motor. You'll push the tab in and rotate the blade until it catches. Once it catches, you're able to tighten or loosen the blade. Then just release the tab and the blade turns again. So we'll reinstall the chip container. Next move is going to be to adjust the blade for the proper cutting depth. You want to cut about 1/4 inch below the material you're cutting. On the far side is a big wing nut that you have to loosen to adjust your foot plate down. So, and again, we want to be about 1/4 inch below. Tighten the black wing nut down to the desired depth, and you're good. Now we're ready to cut. A few things that we want to go over is these will kick back similar like a chainsaw or the K12. So you want to keep 2 firm grips on it at all times, right hand, left hand. The only other things that we need to go about, do not start and stop unless you have to. If the saw becomes bound up or bogs down and stops, release the trigger, let it stop fully, and then take the saw out after the blade has quit turning. When you're going to restart, if you're going to use that same cut, you want to get the blade back into the cut, center it, and then start the blade up with it not engaged in the material. Once the blade's up to speed, you can re-engage and go about your business. The only other thing is the blade, or as far as cutting speed, you want to let the blade actually cut on its own. Give it very light pressure. Don't force it by any means, just let it walk through on its own with light pressure. So we're going to go ahead and make a few cuts. Okay, that completes today's demonstration of the new Milwaukee metal cutting saws. As with all our newer equipment, you need to review the owner's manual, and it will give you the exact guidelines and details on all the operation of this. One of the things to look at specifically is it gives you the guidelines for the different thicknesses of metals. The thicker the metal, the less time you can cut, and the more time the saw needs to cool down between cuts. So please refer to the manual, read it front to back, and that'll give you all the necessities. Thank you.